So we're here to talk about predictive analytics and construction risk ecosystems. The reason why we're here is because the total recordable incident rate, so these are incidents, these are serious incidents in construction that have happened over the past 25 years or so, have stagnated. Our improvement on and getting better at preventing them has stagnated. And likewise, in construction fatalities in the United States, since 2010, we've remained pretty flat as far as our improvement on performance has gone. Behind that as well is the fact that 6% of all workers in the United States are in the construction industry, while they bear a disproportionate share of the fatalities that occur, 17% of all fatalities. So they're 3 times more likely to get fatally injured in construction. Meanwhile, since 2010, technology has tremendously changed, right? 2010, you probably had your first iPhone. You were watching movies on DVD still, if you can imagine that. iPad came out. You were playing Angry Birds for the first time, and you never heard of Instagram, which is a huge success now. So why all this change has occurred in technology and not improved in construction? And it really boils down to a simple fact that construction hasn't made the advances that technology has. And so we're here to talk about why that is today and how we can go about changing that. My name is Tim Gattie. I'm the VP of Industry Strategy for SmartVid.io. I worked in construction for 20 years. I managed projects and built large projects. I'm a registered professional engineer, and I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh. And on this project in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, which is a light rail project in Seattle, I had an idea. I had an idea for taking safety data and building predictive models that would predict the incidents that we were going to occur. And so fast forward 5 years, I had built a system that was called construction analytics. We used observations to engage our craft workers in the field. We used incident data to define what the outcomes were of those observations and of our daily work. We communicated all of this via dashboards to our employees. And then I built a predictive model that was about 80% accurate. So if you can imagine, we had 40 active projects. I could tell you which project was going to have it down to 8, so I could eliminate a lot of the projects from worry. And that's how I ended up at SmartVid.io.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rose Hall, Strategic Operations Manager for Risk Engineering at AXA XL in our North America Construction Business Unit. Like Tim, I'm a registered professional engineer. I have 20 years of experience in And we're going to talk today about how Tim's predictive analytics and our construction ecosystem come together to help our customers make better risk decisions and ultimately improve the safety stats that Tim showed in the first couple of slides. Who is AXA XL? We are the property and casualty specialty risk division of global insurance giant AXA. Our Chief Executive Officer, Thomas Buberl, has this quote below: "Customers want more from us than paying bills. We need to go on a journey and become a partner for our customers." And so to that end, he put an initiative together he calls Payer to Partner. And what we've done here with the genesis of our construction ecosystem is really an extension of the Payer to Partner model. We started with our customers, who are large contractors throughout the United States. And we started with this dilemma that they have. And we imagined that we, as the world's largest insurer, could be known first and foremost for solving their problems, not necessarily for providing them with insurance, but solving their risk problems. And what problems do contractors have? Well, as Tim said, there's a lot of technology out there, and it's increasing very, very fast, but it's not getting to the construction sites, and we still have fatalities at a rate that is unacceptable, which is anything greater than 0 is an unacceptable fatality rate. And the contractor's dilemma is, there's so much tech out there, they don't know which tech to choose. They don't want to log into numerous platforms. They don't know if the tech is effective. They don't know what they should be paying for it. Is it scalable? Will they get a return on their investment? Will it actually reduce their risk? Will it increase their profits? And what are the metrics defined to be able to deem it successful or unsuccessful? And then what do they do with all this data? data is creating insights. They need a human to interpret all the charts into actionable operational insights. These are the things that run through contractors' heads when they're thinking about how to implement technology. And what happens is they don't. So we built an ecosystem here at AXA XL, which we launched formally in a press release just a few weeks ago. And an ecosystem is an integrated digital experience connecting different services and products that allows us to leverage all of that technology and data together to unlock insights that were previously unavailable, solve customers' problems, and really support their risk management efforts. So how did we do this? How did we answer the contractor's dilemma? We started with an ecosystem, and the way that we built it out is that we aligned our goals with the customers. We believe that we're in the best place to be able to provide this sort of a service to our customers because our goals are aligned. What does that mean? That means that the customer is motivated to protect lives, decrease their losses because it saves them money, which is the same motivation we have, which for a technology company, Tim will tell you, your goal is to reduce risk, but at the end of the day, you got to make some money off of it. So with aligned goals, which is completely and totally circled around reducing risk, we felt we were the best partner for our customers to be able to provide them with a tool like this. So we're helping our customers, and by being a trusted resource to them in the world of technology and helping them navigate all these different solutions, figuring out what they're worth for them. And we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We're going to provide them with data and insights through partnerships. We're not going to just have our own data in there. We're going to pull data from various sources and partner with those who have bigger data than we do. We have a lot of data, but there's a lot out there to be combined. And how are we going to do that? We're going to integrate it into one platform. So you can log into one place and see all of your information in one spot, which is something that's hard to get your head around when you have a lot of different tech. So part of the problem is that the more tech you have, the more integration you need. So we're helping solve that problem. Also, trending and benchmarking. So you get all data. The customers want to know, first and foremost, how am I doing compared to my competitors? And so trending and benchmarking against competitors and against the industry helps them figure that out and helps them figure out what's next. And lastly, we provide the human element. So we have risk engineers. We have 22 risk engineers on staff in our construction business unit. So we have over 100 or over 75 underwriters and a lot of claims professionals that help turn some of this data into, by being a resource for the customers, help turn it into graphs, into operational risk management. So how do you implement these changes into your business to actually make a difference in the numbers at the end of the day?
All right, thanks, Rose. I'm going to talk about AI's role in all of this. So as SmartVid.io, we're a partner in the AXA XL ecosystem, and we bring technology to the party. We're one of those integrated partners. And I'm going to go back to the slide on why we're here today, and the fact that construction safety performance has stagnated despite advances in technologies, and kind of drill into that a little bit. The reason, in my experience, that we've seen this happening is because construction has challenges collecting and connecting their sources of data. They have great systems for doing specific things, but those systems don't always talk well to each other. So about SmartVid.io, our mission is to bring AI to the AEC industry to produce improvements in safety, quality, and productivity. We're 100% software, 100% focus on the construction industry. Our computer vision models are about 4 times better than Google when it comes to construction. If you imagine, Google's been trained on a wide variety of things like cats and dogs and all sorts of things. We're specifically trained on construction imagery, and one of our customers had us do this comparison to challenge that. And so then also we have these pre-built integrations, which actually makes us a really great partner for the ecosystem, because we can be a hub with many spokes to different contact vendors to get data for the AXA XL ecosystem. Some of our partners are worldwide contractors, local contractors in the industrial markets, insurance markets, and then in commercial construction is a large focus of what we do. We also have some folks in industrial and in heavy civil construction as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our computer vision product. This is Vinny. Vinny is our AI. So Amazon has Alexa and IBM have Watson. SmartVid.io has Vinny. He's named after a construction superintendent that knew where everything was on his job site. And Vinny's been trained on like 15 million construction photos, and we've trained him to identify about 50 different factors of risk that go on construction job sites. So he sees people really, really well. So this is an image for an example, and you and I look at it very quickly and we see 5 people. Vinny sees 6. He can identify someone off of the edge of their hard hat or a piece of their shoulder or a hand and tell you that there's a 6th person here. But he doesn't stop at just identifying the people. He also identifies whether or not they're wearing the right protective equipment. So we've all heard recently about PPE. Well, in construction, there's standard PPE that all workers must wear. It's a hard hat, a vest, glasses, and gloves. And Vinny parses all of those items out in the photos that he analyzes and looks for those subtle nuances and tags those as items of risk. He also sees things like folding ladders and housekeeping issues and standing water and different types of ladders and lifts. We've got it down pretty detailed to where we can identify 4 different types of ladder, including a wooden ladder leaned up against a wooden wall. And so Vinny's become pretty good at doing what he does. What we do is we grab images from the contractors or the customers' different systems where they store them. So Procore or Oracle or SharePoint, BIM 360, Box, and Ignite. We go in and we grab the photos from the customer and we bring them into our environment. So Vinny then automatically analyzes the imagery, and he does 2 things with it. First, he generates metrics and reports for dashboards. And then secondly, he may, if the workflow is set up, he may create an automated safety observation. On the metrics and reports, he adds those to a tabulation, which is automatically updated and generated. And then the users can generate reports either on demand, automatically, or on a schedule. The dashboards are updated and aggregate results. And we have some composite scores on there like work at height metrics and ladders last metrics and slips and trips and PPE compliance to help contractors understand where their risk is. Finally, I mentioned that Vinny can make an automated safety observation. This goes alongside the human observations that our customers' employees are making when they walk the job site. We have a very easy interface on our observation tool, and it collects different points of observations, and those observations are then dashboarded along with Vinny's. On the predictive analytics side of things, we use the data that we collect both via what we call the safety monitoring, or what Vinny does, and the safety observation tools, along with other sources of data that the contractors collect already. We mix all that together in a predictive model and try to make predictions on different things for our contractor customers. And we've broken that process of building the models down into 3 different phases. First is a data health check, where we analyze the data and look at how valuable it is, how good and consistent it is, how it overlaps, and maybe even into the process behind how the data is collected, so we get a little bit of context. If the customer is happy with the outcome of the phase 1 and we believe that we can build them a model, we can move to the model testing phase, or phase 2. This is where we build the model and then we test it to make sure that it's making adequate predictions and has what we call lift. And then also we look at the features that are driving the results to make sure that they make sense. We review that model with the customer, and then if the customer is happy with the outcome, we deploy it in phase 3, which is making all the permanent connections and running the model on a regular basis for them. Our most common model that we build is which incident or which project is most likely to have a safety incident in the coming week. And so what we're trying to do here is improve that number that we talked about in the beginning of how do we reduce incidents, and as a result, how do we reduce fatalities and bring those numbers down across the industry. Some of the models that we've deployed are accurate down to what I call about 80%. But to reduce the confusion in talking about percentages, what we typically do is talk about it as in terms of numbers of projects to worry about. So if you imagine yourself as the safety manager for a contractor, you've got 60 projects going on, and you really want to know which ones you've got to focus on this week. Well, Vinny can help you identify the 9 down to the 9 that are really most likely to have an incident. And by applying additional resources and effort to those jobs, you can actively prevent an incident. And by using the dashboard and the outputs from the predictive models, construction teams can game plan at their Monday morning safety meetings how they're going to actively prevent that, get discretionary resources applied to their job, or modify their activities if need be. I know that when I was a project manager, I would never get resources ahead of an incident. I always got extra stuff afterwards, and it usually wasn't always helpful. It was more scrutiny than it was assistance. So this is a way of getting ahead of that and applying those resources beforehand. And using these effectively, some contractors have reduced the number of recordable incidents by 60%. And again, a recordable incident there is defined by OSHA as being a very serious incident requiring something greater than just first aid on the job site. For the construction ecosystem, we're out to do a couple of different things. We're out to reduce risk with regard to safety. We're also looking to improve quality through analyzing quality paperwork and quality documentation and the data that's collected during the quality process. And as a result, some of these models and metrics we're endeavoring to build, we're looking to increase the productivity of the jobs as well. I'm going to hand it off to Rose to talk about the genesis or the thinking behind the ecosystem and the strategy and approach to building it.
Thanks. So this is where we go into the ecosystem journey. This is where we go, what I like to call it's the lab to live. I like to call it live to lab to live, because we actually took the feedback from our customers and brought it into our lab, so to speak, hooked it up, and now pushing it back out to the customers all along the time, getting their feedback and trying to solve their problems before ours. So the way that this looks is in 2017, we started with an idea which came from a lot of tech companies with risk-reducing solutions coming to us and saying, hey, we have this great technology that's going to help you reduce risks. You should provide this to all your customers and give them a discount on their premium because it's going to be so great. And we took a look at it and we said, well, we're really not sure what to do with this. Do the customers want it? Do they need it? Will they use it? And at the same time, the customers started coming to us and saying, there's all this technology out there. It looks really good, but I'm not sure how to handle it, going back to the contractor's dilemma. So 2017, we started to put these two things together and say, well, maybe we can solve problems for the customers and be their resource. And at the same time, we've got all these technology companies that are offering themselves up to us at the same time. So we could put those two things together. In 2018, we started exploring this concept by doing a handful of workshops with different tech companies. We did some technology pilots. We like to do these in 90-day sprints. We like to use what we call what's called rapid results initiatives, RRIs, which are 90-day sprints with defined goals and metrics. It tends to get things done quickly, and it's the fail fast concept. So we did some tech pilots. We got customer inputs. And in 2019, we said, okay, we're going to build this thing. We started performing the work required to build out the ecosystem in our lab, if you will. We started doing more concerted ecosystem workshops, pulling subject matter experts from our team and from other places. We started socializing the project, both internally and externally with customers. And we started engaging with some of the tech partners and saying, okay, Tim, Gattie, we really like what you're doing with SmartBid.io. How can we work together to create something really, really interesting for this ecosystem? And then we started pulling in some claims data, both our own and blinded, scrubbed, anonymized claims data from other customers through TPAs. And in 2020, we worked on, a little bit in 2019, but in 2020, we worked on the user interface, the user experience, and we are rolling out a customer pilot with 6 of our strongest, most cooperative customers on this particular effort that have offered their time and resources to help us vet out this pilot. We're going to do, again, another 90-day RRI sprint with our customers, which will kick off at the end of this month. And they will actually use the user interface. They will be able to access our tech library, which is the collection of all the technologies we've pulled together so far. And they will have access to what we call the TAMI, which is a Tech Adoption Maturity Index, which gives them, it's an assessment that gives them a measure of how well they're adopting technology as compared to some of their peers. which we hope will encourage them to further adopt technology, risk-reducing technologies in their business. And then we're providing them with benchmarking, and we'll see what they say after 90 days. And hopefully we'll be able to make a little tweaks here and there before we roll out in 2021. It'll probably be late 2020, early 2021 that we're looking to go full scale by expanding the tech library, adding additional customers, enhancing the features and the trending that we're doing, and generally enriching the data. So to get a little more detailed in the roadmap as to how we got from lab to live, or live to lab to live, is we started with the customer focus. And we talked about the initiative of payer to partner. That's the AXA initiative. There's another one we like called putting the customer first. The customer is always first. So when we think about putting the customer first, that's one of our big priorities here at AXA and AXA XL. So by putting the customer first initiative first, we align our goals with theirs, and we get feedback from our customers. And we have a small group called a customer council, which is about 25 or 30 of some of the largest contractors in the US. It's the risk managers for those companies. And we meet with them every so often, provide them with some education, interesting bits, and we ask them for feedback on initiatives that we're doing. Do you like this? Is this something you would want or use? And they've been really helpful on the ecosystem front. The next thing we did was we figured out what problems we're trying to solve. And that's super important when you're building something new, because a lot of these tech companies that I've talked to come up with a really cool technology solution for construction, but they're not sure which problem they're solving. So the problems that we're solving here are safety, cost, schedule, and quality. And if anybody has a construction background, you'll know these are contractors' problems. These are not insurers' problems, right? These are our contractors' problems. Contractors are beholden to their owners to deliver their projects safely, on budget, on schedule, and with good quality. That's what they struggle to achieve every single day. So we started with their problems to solve. And then again, we ran 90-day pilots. We tried to bring this thing up to speed very, very quickly, fail fast, and change your strategy, make sure that you're successful going forward. So incremental successes in months versus years. And then the next phase is scale and secure, and make sure that we can provide this for everyone that we work with. So what does the customer see? We talked a little bit about this Tech Adoption Maturity Index a few minutes ago, and this is the assessment. And most contractors in the U.S., at least, really want to know how they're doing compared to their competitors. It's a very competitive industry in that their margins are single digits and most often lower than 5%. So they're quite keen on what makes them different from their competitors. And technology is becoming a huge differentiator for these contractors now. So showing them what's out there, what's available to them from the technology standpoint, and where they sit in the rank of adopting some of that technology, we really believe is going to hopefully illuminate what's out there for them to capitalize on and encourage them to adopt it, if not for the risk reducing and productivity gains and loss reduction gains, but if only, for all of that, plus winning more jobs and being a different contractor for their owners. So the next thing is, when we say to them, these are a few areas that you're doing really well with tech, and these are a few areas where you could up your game, they say, okay, how do we do that? And we say, well, I'm so glad you asked, because we have a technology library full of curated solutions that we have taken a look at and run through a third-party vetting partner, and also through some of the really deep, some of the folks on our team that have really deep expertise in construction, and run some of these by customers, done pilots, gotten testimonials from customers that say that these solutions are viable. And so we've partnered with them, SmartVid.io being one of our premier partners. And we put them in our tech library, and we say to the tech partner, well, we'll give you exposure to all these great contractors that you'd really love to get in front of. And in return, we'd like you to give them a little something a little more special than they can get on the street. And so we curate this deal for our customers in order to whittle down the universe of technology that's out there and help them make smart decisions about which to adopt. So we move on to what they're getting in the ecosystem itself. They're getting data insights via the benchmarking and the data aggregation of all the things that we're pulling together. And this looks, there's four different ways that they can see this. They can see the project level. So your project manager can go in every day and see what alerts are on different parts of his job that he should address. Then you can move to the company level where a risk manager can sit at his desk and see company-wide which projects are having alerts today. You can see industry level, comparing your company against what's happening in the industry from a claims perspective. And then, of course, the predictive analytics aspect of it, which Tim talked about earlier, which Tim continues to talk about. And this is super important because a lot of the claims information can tell you what happened in the past. A lot of the technologies can tell you what's happening right now. But the predictive analytics is really the future state that we aspire to deliver in this construction ecosystem, because it will help you predict predict what may happen next and target your efforts, your risk management efforts, in the specific direction that they're going to be most effective. So the 3 phases of taking a look at alerts. And then the final phase of this, which we're working on now, is called, we're calling the highly protected project. So we're looking to actually offer new products and services to our customers who are willing to adopt technology. We have started another 90-day RRI on creating a product for this, possibly an endorsement, that bundles the policy with a tech stack and says, okay, if you use these 3 technologies, we know that they are so risk reducing that we will be willing to give you a discount on your premium for this particular project. And we're working how the mechanics of that work, but that's our next lab project, if you will. And we intend to roll that out on some test projects by the end of this year, and hopefully have it more widely adoptable in the coming year. So to be a little more specific on how we're solving these customers' problems, if we start at the top, we've talked about claims data. We pull claims data in not just from AXA XL, but from other carriers as well, both blinded and scrubbed and anonymized. We are using IoT and predictive analytics. We've talked a little bit about that already. Some extended reality solutions. We feel that augmented reality and virtual reality are extremely important, but have not yet gotten the adoption I think they deserve in the industry. The ability to be able to see a construction project the way it's going to look while it's being built without that, it would be like trying to put a puzzle together without seeing the cover of the puzzle box, right? You don't know what you're building until you can see it visually. And plans, 2-dimensional plans aren't great at that, but extended reality, I think, is going to be a game changer. Taking a look at schedules have always been very important on construction projects, but the ability to ascertain whether that schedule is feasible and to what level of predictable success on that schedule. Yeah, it's 85% chance you'll be able to hit this date. I think that's going to be really helpful in customers delivering their projects to their owners on time. Preventing subcontractor default and managing your supply chain is going to be especially important now in a COVID-19 world. Cost and quality being 2 of the other cornerstones of construction success. We're looking to, as Tim said, we're looking to predictive analytics to help manage some of that risk. And then auto risk and also weather analytics. One of the biggest risks on a construction project is what's going to happen before you close the building in. So all of those things combined, those are some of the more specific ways that we're solving the customer's problems in the tech library.
You know, I've sat in dozens of bid reviews, and there are smart CEOs out there that they ask the question, what if it rains?
Yeah. Exactly. So where are we working with so far? So we're working with Sedgwick as our claims and benchmarking data provider right now for that aspect of it. We're working with SmartVid.io. Athenium Analytics is a weather risk analysis company that we're working with. Pillar provides environmental data sensors. They have a little pod that collects 8 different environmental conditions like carbon monoxide, dust, volatile organic compounds, light, heat, that sort of thing, measures exposure. Proxy is a partner of ours. They're a haptic enabled wearable. It's a wristband that if you go to grab a live wire, it will buzz to prevent you from doing that. And Onsite IQ is a virtual data capture and risk assessment, so 360 imagery that they'll take a look and see if there's some risks you need to address, and also for progress photos. Wint is a water leak detection company using IoT to detect whether there's a leak on a pipe and be able to shut it off remotely. Triax is a worker wearable and sensor technology. You can tell where all your people are. If somebody has fallen, you can evacuate the building with this technology that everybody wears a clip on their belt. It's also available for equipment. And TradeTap is owned by Building Connected, which is owned by Autodesk, and they are a subcontractor pre-qualification software. So these are our current partners. We have about 20 more that are in the hopper, if you will, looking to ink the final deal and bring them onto our team. So wrapping up on how this benefits everybody, and everybody's got to have a motive, right? So our motivation, AXA XL's motivation, is completely aligned with the customer's motivation on this. And we're looking to provide them with ease of access so they can see all of their data and all of their IoT devices in one platform. We're looking to use that information to provide them with tailored coverages and services to further differentiate us in the market and further help them manage their risk. Provide predictive data and analytics with the help of SmartVid.io so that we can not only say what's happened, but help them figure out what may happen in future. And generally really encourage more tech adoption, because I know it's a game changer in the construction industry, and it's making change in construction is roughly like turning the QE2. There's a lot of legacy, there's a lot of history, and there's not a lot of resources for contractors to adopt these sort of things. Most contractors spend less than 1% on innovation in their companies. And it's a lot less than 1%. So, and the productivity has stagnated the same as the fatality rates have. So I know we can be doing more as an industry, and I'd love to, we're going to be a part of that, encouraging that tech adoption. And then for us, we get data insights, better insight into what our customers are doing and how we can help them differentiate ourselves in the market. Yes, we're hoping to make ourselves a little stickier and keep our customers and be more attractive to those that we don't yet write, and establish ourselves as thought leaders in the industry for technology and resources for our customers in this wide world they're about to navigate of construction tech. So what we've built is the first of its kind. And we're taking it from lab to live, and we're going to learn what happens next and tweak it and roll it out full scale, and hopefully we'll have something else to report on this coming up.
Great. I'm going to dive quickly into our metric and model process. This is the point where this is the process that we use to engage with the AXA XL customers and actually start the building process of the ecosystem. And so we at the start, we began with model and data discovery, where we held sessions with contractors to identify different things that might be interesting or useful to them, and generated over nearly 70 different potential models and metrics. And then currently we're in the data gathering phase, where we're actually working with those customers to gather the data. Once we finish with that, we're going to build the models and metrics, then evaluate and get customer feedback. Again, customers at the center of this, so we want to make sure that we're getting valuable feedback from them, prove out the models and metrics, and then deploy them in the ecosystem. So I'm giving a sample of the models and metrics selected here. So we met with 4 customers in half-day brainstorming sessions. These were investments by these customers. I mean, we sat in rooms. Rose and I were, 2 of like 14 or 15 people in a room at some points for a half a day. And that's a lot of people for a contractor to bring to a meeting. And so we evaluated different models and got some good ideas around safety models, quality models, trade partner models, and then general claims models. So we've selected a few from each of those groups, and I'll go through those in detail here. So on the modeling side, we're going to build a safety incident model to determine which projects of a set of projects are most likely to have an incident. We're also going to attempt a quality issue model, where we determine which set or which projects out of a set of projects are most likely to experience a quality issue in a coming month, and then general claims type models, where we're predicting which ones are going to have a claim in the quarter, which ones are tending toward a claim. On the metric side, Rose mentioned contractors love to be compared to each other. They love to know what each other are doing so that they can adjust their strategy and become more competitive or more efficient at what they do. And so we're going to generate a series of metrics that help them benchmark, including solid quality program engagement, safety program engagement, incident type fingerprint. So if you imagine there are many different types of incidents that occur on job sites, we're going to give them a fingerprint and then relate that to high-performing safety programs, or on the contrary, low-performing safety programs, and then provide some documentation, project documentation time series to see which, if jobs can be related to a time series of documentation, does that mean they're more or less likely to head for a claim? And then in this endeavor, we've started with 6 models and 10 metrics, coming from 19 different data sources and a total of 244 data artifacts, or columns, or fields, whatever you want to call them. So from those 6 participants, we're trying to get all that data right now, and it's an interesting challenge to move forward with, but it's going to be fun, and we're about to start really seeing the results of that effort. So Rose, you want to take us home?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to do so. So what we're looking to do is combine predictive analytics with our ecosystem, and what we started out discussing was what our goals are and the outcomes for the ecosystem, and it's really to provide contractors in construction just a better animal, a better way to manage their risk. We developed this to align our goals and be trusted resources to the customer, and really, I think it plays well to this track because it's something that came from the customer. We cooked it up in our think tank. We brought on the partners that we wanted to work with, that we knew were going to bring value, like SmartBid.io, and we're pushing it back out into the field to get some real life progress on it, some real life validation that it works, that it's valuable, and we really are excited about it. So we're glad to be part of the lab to live track here, and the ultimate goal for the industry. And I think anybody in construction would say we want to reduce job site risk. We want to change how contractors think about their risk management. We want to advance the use of construction technology in construction, and really change how, and ultimately in future state, change how construction projects are insured. It's a legacy industry with a lot of risk and a lot of reward. And Tim and I are just super excited to be part of doing something new and interesting and different and hopefully groundbreaking in the construction risk industry.
For sure. And thank you for having us here. It's been a real exciting journey to be here and share with you.
Want access to more CogX videos? Subscribe now for free at cogx.co.